Hey, what's up, gamers? Today I want to talk about why Fallout New Vegas is still as beloved as it is. It still has an active community of people modding it, of people memeing it, and I think that's for good reasons. Because first of all, it's pretty much, in my opinion, a perfect blend between the more modern Bethesda Fallout games, with the 3D environments, and the old school Fallout 1 and 2 with their more in-depth conversations and role-playing mechanics. Fallout New Vegas pretty much serves as a bridge between those games. So people that like the old school role-playing are attracted to New Vegas, and people who like the Bethesda sense of exploration can still have fun with this one. I think what helps is that Fallout New Vegas also has a lot of replayability, because there's so many choices in it. It's there's so much influence your character can have on the world, and it's very fun to explore those different options. And if you want to if you want to get the full experience of Fallout New Vegas, you basically have to play the game 4 times, one playthrough for each major faction of the game. So Yes Man, Mr. House, the NCR, and Legion, and that is something that I don't think any Fallout has ever done, because Fallout New Vegas focuses a lot on its factions. For Fallout 2, if I'm pretty sure, already had the faction reputation mechanic, but Fallout New Vegas really doubles down on it, in my opinion, because you can pretty much you get an entirely different ending depending on what faction you chose, which is really cool. Now, I also think that a lot of people went back to New Vegas after being possibly unsatisfied with Fallout 4 or 76. I personally love Fallout 4. 76 is kind of mid-tier, I guess. But Fallout 4, I think I have over 300 hours or something in it. It's incredibly fun game in my opinion, just because of the gameplay. It's probably the best out of any Fallout game. But I understand why some people might be a little bit unsatisfied with Fallout 4 as a whole. Another reason why it is still popular is partly because of the active memeing community it still has, and the active modding community. There's still really big mods that are being worked on complete overhauls of the game, visual mods, just weapon mods, stuff like that. So I think that's really helps to keep the game fresh. I think especially the Fallout New Vegas memes are just everywhere, with Big Iron and stuff. Even outside of the main New Vegas communities, it's such an internet thing at this point. I think that really helps to promote the game. It kind of means the game stays at the back of everybody's heads. Just memory, so you won't ever pretty much forget about it. The internet won't let you forget about Fallout New Vegas, because to some people it's literally the holy grail of video gaming. I think what also plays a role in it is that the next Fallout game, at least the next Bethesda Fallout game, is only coming after the Elder Scrolls, the next one. So we won't see that for the next at least 5 years or something. So people have to keep themselves busy, and if they want to scratch that Fallout itch, most people will initially go towards New Vegas. What also helps, I'm pretty sure I've said this already, is that New Vegas is just an objectively good game. It's, in my opinion, it's my favorite Fallout game personally, and it just has so much to offer. So I think that really helps why it's still so popular, because it's just so fucking good. One thing that I personally found interesting is that this game also has a pretty large trans community, which is kind of highlighted for this game, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, from what I've read, trans people tend to be more politically minded or politically active, and Fallout New Vegas has a lot of politics, so I think that must be appealing to them. Unrelated side note, but I think that some people really misunderstand this game's politics. There's people unironically fanboying for the Legion just because they protect the trade roads or whatever. That's the same argument people say Hitler's a pretty bad guy, but at least he built the Autobahn, which is largely factually incorrect. But even the NCR, which they kind of present themselves, or the game presents them as a continuation, Jesus Christ, of the pre-war American government, the democratic government. But the game shows you that they aren't the good guys, as to say. I think they are. This is just an opinion, but I think they are the lesser evil, but they aren't like objectively like a good democratic nation. The game really shows you some dark things, like the Bitter Springs massacre. It has a lot of a big part of the game is just that the NCR like eats up just communities, and with no disregard for like if they want to be a part of the NCR or not. The NCR also is aggressively expanding, which means that they have trouble securing the territory that they already own. And I think it's interesting that the game really focuses on that. So back to what I was saying before, I think that trans people are just more interested in the political nature of the game, which is something, which is one of the reasons why they might want to play it. Another reason is, this is just like speculation, I guess. It's just like a feeling I have, is that trans people would be, they could like inherently relate to this game's message of like letting go of the past and beginning anew and stuff like that. Basically, just the fucking Dead Money DLC. You know, oh no, can I take the gold bars or not? But you know, this game has a very strong message that I think would be appealing to the trans community. And what I would think it would be nice is if people would find inspiration from that, from the message from that Fallout New Vegas is trying to bring across, and just like live life as whoever you want to be, and letting go of the past and not being afraid to start anew if you feel that's something you are more comfortable with. And this kind of ties into my last point, is that Fallout New Vegas has a lot of representation for the LGBT. Well, not a lot, but for a AAA game, I think this it's a fairly inclusive game, actually. I think there's, from as far as I know, there's 3 openly gay characters. I think it's Arcade, Veronica, and the girl from Dead Money. I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but I think those are pretty much to be gay characters. And as I said, it isn't like, for a AAA game this is fairly inclusive, but usually like the single A or double A games are like the kings of representation for the LGBT community. And I just think that Fallout New Vegas does a lot of things right. It can be compared to, for example, Mass Effect 3 with Cortez, which is an openly gay character. And I think it's just cool that it offers that. So as I said, there are games, usually smaller budget games, which focus more on inclusivity and things like that. And I just think that Fallout New Vegas does a lot of things right for such a big name game, for a AAA game. And one last thing, I just think that Fallout New Vegas offers a lot of just role-playing freedom, I guess. It is, you can pretty much fill out your character. The game is very broad with however you want to fill in your character, which is really cool. And I think it's definitely, the Courier is one of the most flexible characters, I guess, I've ever seen in a game. You can pretty much just mold him or her however you want. So yeah, it offers a lot of role-playing freedom. So you have so many ways to like shape the game however you want it to be. And I think that's just a really good escape for people. But yeah, that's just why I think that Fallout New Vegas is still as popular as it is. It's objectively a good game, so I would highly recommend you play it if you haven't. Now, do keep in mind that part of the experience of Fallout New Vegas, a pretty large part, well, okay, an average part, is just filling with fucking Vortex to get your mods working. I never really modded as much as some people do. I just have some visual things like some bug fixes, New Vegas anti-crash, and stuff like that. Some relatively minor, I guess. But you know, you can pretty much go wild with it just because it has such a large modding community. There's so many mods. A lot of like nude mods, which I don't get why every Bethesda game has those. I think people are just way too horny, but those are there too if you're such a fucking degenerate. And there are generally like good mods. There's some really impressive ones that really overhaul the game's visuals or whatever. So if you do want to play New Vegas, I would highly recommend you to mod it. If you know very little about downloading mods, I think Vortex is like a pretty much a go-to standard now for an easy way to download mods. I personally use it myself. I find it very convenient in general. Although sometimes you need to fiddle a bit with it, but you know, it's kind of, you'll find out. So yeah, the game goes on sale for kind of often, and for a, I don't know, like €10 for a fairly affordable price. That's the including all the DLC, which is also worth playing. So yeah, I think that in general it's just a very good package, and there's good reasons why this game is still as popular as it is, because it's just very good. And I don't think there are there are very few games that come close to it, in my opinion, especially in the Fallout series. Because if you want a good role-playing experience, you can just go play Fallout 1 or 2, but they are so they are a lot less approachable than a modern-day 3D Fallout game like New Vegas. So I think it's a very good entry point, and it's also a good, like a good middle ground, I think, between modernity and like tradition, basically. But thank you very much for watching. If you've managed to watch till the end, yeah, go play Fallout New Vegas. Goodbye.